Saw this before with him. I don't know where.
You hear this word you got everything in there, everything that you never need. Yeah, you know, Can-Am, I'm realizing. Oh.
Okay, great. Well, I'd love to stand next to you. See you. Two times in 2 weeks. This is pretty good for me. I know it. I'm loving it.
You actually got to do real work. Like, I can't open a spreadsheet on this or manipulate it. I can't write a letter on this.
Patrick, is your place is still open? People still coming in, having coffee and all that stuff?
Yeah.
That's great.
I've been, I really haven't stopped going in. For about 2.5 months, I went in the afternoon, Ross going in the morning. He wanted
That's what you get when you're, chief cook and bottle washer,
Yeah.
right? You do it all.
But it's getting excellent. Getting pretty busy recently.
Good,
Especially
good.
Mondays.
That's great.
So we have our
Good to hear
open
it's coming back.
coffee on Monday.
That's nice. Oh, what a good one.
Especially when the majority leader shows up.
I guess.
And the mayor of Niagara Falls is here.
That's right.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Oh, yeah.
And there was a gaggle. Nothing like this stuff.
Yeah.
Check the time, are we on?
I would have thought there would have been more attention to these.
10:32.
It might be something else.
Assuming they got the word that he's close.
Because they went on top of two.
Sound like characters. Were you told ahead of time when they talked? He said he wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, no question. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I'm tired of saying words. Stayed out 2 days. But
Makes it a point.
saying words.
It's a point.
Senator Joe, can we do some We just didn't have that much time.
Rasmus's. Why is it so exhausting?
Yeah, the concern is with the news of an attack on
You can't pull that off. 6 hours. It's not going to go anywhere.
I think it's just wasted money.
I can't do that for 6 hours. Came across good. Thanks. It's funny how different people, like Ron wants to be in person, and to me, what the difference is, I live on a Sunday, you kill your Sunday. Until Monday, you got Tuesday. I mean, it really kind of kills it 3 or 4 days. We're here, it's like 2 bad days.
What happened? You left on the cutting room floor? Oh, you fished. So the mayor's going. Mike and I worked together at Visit Buffalo, Niagara, and we still have friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick had said to me when you
Hey, Mike.
step in.
Yeah, Raymond.
Nice to see you. Yes.
I'm Ken Beaker, Niagara Falls Bridge Commission.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Patrick had said to me, can you stand in? And I said, yes. He said, but I don't want you to. I said, okay.
Well, standing in means standing here. Not standing up there.
One of those.
I'm just hoping these things don't fall over.
Ah.
Sorry.
You don't know. You don't know.
Okay, I'm getting to know you better, and it's wonderful.
I mean, I guess I could certainly stand. Just to
I would, I'd defy Patrick before I defy the senators.
So I'm over in the peanut gallery.
Yeah, I got
After I put on,
one paragraph.
Yes. And the pants.
There you go.
I was my shoes. I mean, I took the whole 9 years.
Give the guy a break.
All really good. My left shoulder has a shoulder replacement.
Did you?
In October.
Do you think you're going to give them the
My range of motion change.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So happy. It's worked out really well. Been going
I
to
think Future Borders Coalition has worked out a deal.
They're awesome.
That's all the difference in the world.
I agree. I agree 100%. So I feel really good. I feel good. Yeah, now I can from the COVID.
Yeah, I know.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you, dude. I spent all of 2019 losing 30 pounds just to gain back 20 of it.
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
Coalition and
I know. That's exactly it. That's it.
So we'll look back on this time
That's
with some fondness, I
You
think.
did your duty to get to here. Now it's up to you.
But I think there are some
institutionally and organizationally gave us a pause to what we're doing and gave us an opportunity to see whether we could do it better, because that's what we've done in City Hall. Because otherwise you just go back to motions, right? We do the same thing we've done over and over and over.
everything feels so big. And actually for us, for our organization, it's like a complete stop to everything we do. We're completely rejiggering everything.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4. You can't see my lips anyway. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Probably won't.
I know. See there?
To give the air of social distancing.
Oh, yeah,
Just because
you did have to mention
we don't need Chuck trending on Instagram or like Twitter.
No. Good thinking. Good thinking. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So, what is it now? Is it 6 or 3?
6 feet here, 3 feet in the schools. It's only 3 feet in the schools. I think that's
I work for a school, that's why I'm confused.
And you have cover. You have cover. I know you watch the news and you see stuff that's happening down in Florida, and it's actually I have a friend who went down there and they said it's like there's no pandemic. People
Yeah.
are just like, crazy. I think it's just absolutely crazy.
It is crazy. Nothing seems to make sense.
Something fell from that bird's nest, fell on your shoulder. Okay.
Like they're totally locked down in Canada, 1 block from here, and they have all these problems. And everybody acts like there's no pandemic in Florida.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Get the attention of the media.
Yeah, not us.
Okay, let's go. Super. Oh, look who's here.
Hi, Senator Pat Whalen.
Yes, Pat, good to see you.
I said it can be here.
Yes, good to see you. Pleasure.
Senator.
Hi, Dottie.
Good to see
you.
Senator,
Good to see you. Okay, am I starting or is someone else starting? I am? Okay.
Chuck, your phone?
Yes. Okay. So first, I'm going to take off my mask. I was looking, why was I sitting in the car? I like to wear masks that are appropriate. I had my Dingus Day mask, but I couldn't find it. I guess it's somewhere in my
Senator,
case.
I have something for you then.
Oh, good. What is this?
These are City of Niagara Falls masks. We always welcome you here.
Great,
We enjoy
great.
having you here. They're adjustable for you.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Okay? You
There
know you
we
like
go.
themed masks.
I do. I like themed masks. Okay, super. And when I put back on the mask, I'll put back on the Niagara Falls mask. Please, Dingus Day, committee, don't get mad at me that I wore the Niagara Falls mask. I couldn't find the Dingus Day one. Anyway, it's great to be here in Niagara Falls. I've been here so many times. But this is my first time as majority leader. Not my first time in Western New York. I was in Buffalo last week, Jordan? 2 weeks ago as majority leader. But this is my first time here in Niagara Falls as majority leader. And I want to welcome some of our guests who are here. We have Rob Restiano, our mayor, Ken Beeger, who's the president of the Bridge Commission, Dottie Gallagher from the partnership, and Pat Whalen from the Canadian-American Border Trade Alliance. Mike Evan is here he's the vice president of Visit Buffalo Niagara. Kathleen Neville, chair of the Bridge Commission, and Mike Everts, who's part of the partnership. So thank you all for being here today to talk about this very, very important issue. Now, it's great to be here at the Rainbow Bridge. This is one of the most beautiful border crossings in America. As you've all seen the news, New York is starting to reopen. But the same, unfortunately, cannot be said of our northern border. I stand here today because we can't wait any longer. We got to get this border opened up. The northern border crossings are key, as you know, to the economies of Western New York and Southern Ontario. 8 million people live in the greater Niagara region. $400 billion of gross domestic product is generated here. And it's estimated that Canadian travelers, 3 million in 2019, the last pre-COVID year, contributed $900 million to the Western New York economy. So that's something that can't be trifled with. And that's something that can't, when there's a need to get that going again, delayed or put on the back burner or anything else. We know that since March of last year, the borders will remain closed to all but a few essential commuters. Loved ones have been unable to see their family and friends despite being only minutes away. Businesses reliant on robust cross-border activity have seen their bottom line slashed and the amount of commerce that they can conduct minimized. Property owners who have vacation homes across the border haven't seen their homes in more than a year, despite the fact that they're still paying taxes on them. In fact, right now, as you may have read in the Buff News this morning, the Canadian government's actually considering levying an additional tax on vacation homes that are underutilized, because they say that we want to tax underutilized homes to prevent some kind of financial gains. But these homes are not those type of homes. It's not some investor from 1,000 miles away buying something. People can't visit these homes, and now they're taxing them because they can't visit these homes. That's got to stop. That's not why we're here, but I wanted to mention that. In fact, it's well past time for the American and Canadian governments to give the countless stakeholders along the northern border the clarity they deserve and to get moving on opening up this border. We have to find a way to safely open up the border ASAP. The monthly extensions, which we've heard, you've heard about every month, have no rhyme or reason. They confuse people. They don't let people plan. They frustrate thousands of Western New Yorkers and Southern Ontarians who depend on the border crossing. So, I am calling on the American and Canadian governments to do 4 things which will quickly but safely open up this border in a much larger way than it has been opened before. First, we have to find a way to come together and establish a binational agreement on criteria for opening up the border. Everyone's all confused. No one even knows when you can do it, when you can't do it, and for what purposes and what reasons. So there's got to be criteria that they got to come together quickly. This could be done in a matter of weeks, even less. They got to come together and set up criteria, creating a framework with clear benchmarks, clear goals, concise specifications will give everyone a metric to strive for and end this pointless cycle of frustration and confusion, which is what we have now. The other thing I want to say, arbitrarily extending the deadline every month without an explanation does not provide reassurance, does not provide clarity, and perpetuates the anger and murky reasoning behind a patchwork system. Second, we must immediately redefine what it means to be an essential traveler. We have thousands of Western New Yorkers. They have family and loved ones minutes away. They haven't been able to see them. Patients with doctors across the border haven't been able to visit. Parents haven't been able to drop off their kids at college. Thousands haven't been able to visit their summer homes at Crystal Beach and other places. And of course, businesses are just stuck in the mud. So to rectify this, I'm urging the Canadian and American governments to declare that any vaccinated individual with familial, business, property, educational, medical, or other interests be allowed to cross the border. Eventually, after that, they should allow anyone who's vaccinated to cross the border. But right now, they have this essential definition. They can make it much broader and say, you got business, you got property, you got a reason to visit, and you're vaccinated, you can go. With the goal being everyone who's vaccinated on either side of the border can travel back and forth, and that will still keep things safe. So that's the second thing. Not only come up with a plan, but quickly allow those who are vaccinated to go back and forth across the border quickly. Third, we're asking for the recreational and commercial boaters to be able to cross freely across from Canadian into American waters back and forth without molestation or penalty. This one makes no sense at all. You're on the same boat, you have the same health issues, but you can't go across the border. And that has really hurt. So no one can cross the international border by boat, even if they have no intention of docking at a port. What sense does that make? And now that we have vaccines, the whole regime ought to change, and change quickly, for boaters and for everybody else. Boaters in the middle of Lake Ontario or the Niagara River are not at risk of transmitting COVID if they don't dock their boats. And finally, I'm calling on Secretary Mayorkas, our Secretary of DHS, to fully equip all of our northern border personnel with equipment, testing, and vaccinations. We cannot expect to have a fully operational border without vaccinated border personnel. And additionally, COVID testing and PPE should be provided to everyone who works at the border. The federal government has a lot of vaccines. The federal government has a lot of PPE now. Let's get it to the people on the border. Let's give it to them free of charge. And that'll allow the people who work there to implement the first 3 points that I made. Okay? So, New Yorkers, we have dealt with the worst of this pandemic. We're beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. More people are vaccinated. Business is coming back. People are beginning to eat at restaurants and go to arts venues and do all the other things that we cherish doing. But the border's got to catch up to that. There is no reason with so many vaccinated people that the border should be so closed as it is right now. And our government, ours, U.S., and the Canadian, have got to get together and do this for the good of the millions of people who live along the Canadian border, not just here in Western New York, but throughout the rest of New York State and the whole country. So that's what we're trying. The time has come to re-establish the cross-border connections which have served us so well over the centuries, to re-establish them, bring them back to the way they used to be so we can rebuild our economy and the lives of Western New Yorkers can go on the way they did before. The longer we wait, the more damage will be done. Let's get going, and I am going to use my clout to push our government and ask them to push the Canadian government to come to this agreement quickly and let the commerce flow across the borders as it should. Okay, now I'm going to call on a few of our guests, and I first want to call on our mayor. Mayor Restiano, you're on. Wait, now I'm going to put on the blue one, of course. He gave a blue and a red being so bipartisan, but I'll wear a blue one.
It's our football team here in Western New York.
I know. Well, that's white also, yeah. They had a good draft.
Yeah, they did.
Unlike There we go. Good, thank you.
Thank you. It's always great to have the Majority Leader here. Senator Schumer continues to be a tremendous advocate, not only for the state of New York, but also for our region. His four-point plan walks out what I think is a smart method to bring this region back to life again. We're starting to see things open as the state of New York begins to thaw its way out of the restrictions of the pandemic. But we all know, those of us who live here in Niagara Falls and all along this border, that so many of us look at Canada not as a foreign country. It's really another neighborhood that we share common interest with. And so we've been separated now for over a year. And this common sense, smart four-point method to reopen the border, I think is an essential for us here in Western New York, and most especially here in Niagara Falls, to be able to work our way back to full strength. We know that we expect this to be an exciting tourist season. We're hoping that as more Mid-Atlantic and Northeastern state representatives and visitors come up here, but we really do want to connect again with our Canadian friends and neighbors. And I know that our businesses look forward to that as well. So I certainly welcome this four-point plan from the Majority Leader. I think that it's not only critical to our economy, but it's smart and it's safe. And so to the extent that I know he has the ability to move this forward, I certainly say on behalf of our city, and I know on behalf of others here in Western New York, that we fully endorse it. We hope that it gets traction, and it can't happen fast enough for me, Senator.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ken Beeger from the Niagara Falls Bridge Commission. He is the president, higher ranking than Majority Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Senator, for coming to Western New York and bringing this message. I'd first like to say, the mission of the Bridge Commission is to facilitate the traffic, both people and goods, in an efficient and safe manner. So it's important that the safety of our crossers are critical to the Bridge Commission, but we've gotten to the point, and Senator, this is a perfect time to come with this message, that we've been talking about a plan for over a year, and there's been many different groups talking about creating a plan. But right now, I think in about 2 weeks, I think New York State will have hit about 50% as far as first doses of the vaccine. I think beginning of July, well, actually by the beginning of July, we'll probably be at 60 to 70% in New York State, and Ontario will be roughly at about 50%. So now is a time that we have the vaccine rolled out, like you had mentioned. That's a perfect time to actually get the plan out and get everybody on board with it. So thank you again, Senator.
Thank you, Ken.
Appreciate it.
And now we have another president. We have a lot of presidents here. Dottie Gallagher, the great leader, president and CEO of the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership.
Thank you, Majority Leader. And President and CEO of the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership does not outrank the Majority Leader of the Senate. I would like to thank Senator Schumer for his leadership on this issue. On behalf of the partnership, I want to heartily 100% endorse the four-point plan he has outlined. There is absolutely no reason why we cannot have a thoughtful reopening of the border. You heard from the Majority Leader the impacts on our region alone. 3 million visitors, $900 million in spending. But to take it down one more level, 40% of the people who fly out of the Buffalo-Niagara Airport were Canadian. We, Americans, use Toronto Pearson all the time. I have a flight booked for November, so get that fixed before then. Our economy is so integrated. This has been incredibly difficult on the people of not only Western New York, but the people of Canada as well. The vast majority of Buffalo-Niagara Partnership members have either a customer, supply chain relationship, or a client in Canada. So we've worked all these years to make this border crossing just a river, and this past year is just an absolute reminder of how integrated we all are and how much we need what you're leading here, Senator. We need this to happen. Fall is too late. Let's please, President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau, please get to work on this for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. And last, we have a director. I don't know where that stands. Of the Canadian-American Border Trade Alliance, Pat Whalen.
Right, and I also work for Niagara University at the Niagara Global Tourism Institute, 7 blocks from here on Niagara Street.
Yes.
So I'm very conversant with the lack of traffic for the past 14 months. But the Canadian-American Border Trade Alliance held its spring meeting for the last 2 days. It concluded yesterday, and we are making recommendations, Senator, that are very similar to yours.
Excellent.
So, and our group is binational from coast to coast. There were people on our conference yesterday from Vancouver and Prince Edward Island and everywhere in between on both sides of the border. So it was agreed that we would have similar recommendations by both countries,
Right.
representatives of both countries.
Right.
And one thing we talked about, though, that we would add is that I don't think we're going to cross back and forth until we're comfortable, and we're not going to be comfortable until we're vaccinated. So while we're doing a great job in the United States with vaccination, we learned yesterday that 3% of Canadians are fully vaccinated. 3. So we need to help the Canadians. The Americans should help the Canadians. And in North Dakota, the governor has worked out a way for the truck drivers that cross the border from Winnipeg and Manitoba to be vaccinated in North Dakota. And if we could do that here in New York and Michigan, where we have a lot more trucks than they do in North Dakota, we would do a little bit, we would add a little bit of help
I didn't think it's that low for Canada, just 3%.
for fully vaccinated.
Fully. Got it.
So they're really doing a lot of one shots.
Got it.
And then later they'll do the second shot. So the other part about the truck drivers is, frankly, they're all among us. They cross the border and they're driving around the United States. I'm sure they have to eat. They have to use restrooms. They have to go to unload a load. They're amongst us. So it's in our best interest that they're vaccinated. So I think it's a good idea if we could work with the states to get that done. But thank you very much. Thanks for being here, and thanks for taking the leadership on this.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, we'll take some questions on this subject first. Well, the first step is let people who are fully vaccinated cross the border. Right now, almost everyone who is fully vaccinated can't cross the border. And then work out a plan as to how to go forward. Look, we have to rely on the experts. And if people don't want to be vaccinated, that's a different story. But people who are vaccinated and have lots of different interests in going back and forth across the border should be allowed to.
Did you read anything between the lines of his comments yesterday? I mean, he seemed to imply talking about opening up international travel, but almost mentioned the United States as a side note.
You mean Trudeau? Yeah, no, I think this is good for both economies, and I think, as Mr. Whalen mentioned, there's pressure on both sides of the border to get this going. It hurts Canadians, it hurts New Yorkers, it hurts Americans. So, and you know, look, we all know that there was a lot of bad blood with the previous president and the prime minister, but there's a much better relationship now, and that's going to help make this happen. And I forgot to mention that, but that's another reason to start moving now, because there's a much better relationship between the two administrations, Canadian and American.
Have you had any direct talks with the Prime Minister?
No, I have not. That would really be I've urged us, our State Department, and even the White House to have the direct talks.
Is there anything the United States can do to help Canada get vaccines distributed?
Well, that was what Mr. Whalen just mentioned, and it may be something we should look at.
Is that
We have extra vaccines in the United States. Now, there's lots of needs around the world. I don't know the exact, is the failure of Canada to be as high as we are due to distribution, lack of vaccines, or whatever, but it's something to look at.
would it be giving them some of our stockpile from the United States, or perhaps some political influence?
We right now in the United States have enough vaccines to vaccinate everybody, even younger kids. Now they're doing the experiments on the 12 to 15-year-olds. When I heard younger people, I called up my doctor, because my 2-year-old grandson, but he can't get it, or can't. If he gets it, we wouldn't notice he had it, is what the doctor said. Just for the use of those of you who have little children or grandchildren, so you'll feel better. But we have ample vaccine capacity here in the United States, and maybe Canada's one place to look at. Obviously, we need to help some other places too, India and places like that. Well, I'd leave that to but we do it at the Bills. We do it at our stadiums. We do it now. We're doing it at lots of different venues in different ways. So I'd leave that to the experts, but it's easily doable.
Today the Blue Jays officially announced they're going to play in Buffalo in about 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
They're going to start June 1st, play 4 games, and maybe more after that. Is that an example, maybe, of how we kind of need each other?
Yeah, it's a great example as long as they lose. No. It is a good example. It is. I mean, we're intertwined.
Mr. Deeger,
I said that as a Yankee fan, you know.
logistically, as far as showing proof, like if there were to be an agreement about, you know, if you're vaccinated, you cross the bridge and you show it, is that very doable for the bridge personnel to check for vaccinations? How might that work?
I mean, really that question is more of a customs, U.S. and Canadian customs question. That's really a question more for U.S. and Canadian customs, but definitely showing any type of vaccine card at the border will slow the border down.
The mayor.
So it'll be something that, you know, there's a few things. We'd like to get any type of evidence away from the border as far, you know, as much as possible. Anything we can do electronically before you get to a border, so it doesn't slow it up. It may be a situation where there might be an interim solution while the traffic's maybe not at 100% for a short period of time, and then work into a more permanent solution. But I know there's a lot of smart minds, you know, talking about it right now.
They've done this. Look, we've done checking for people being vaccinated in all sorts of venues. It's easily doable here. It has to be worked out. I'd leave it to the experts, the customs people, the scientists. But that is not that is not at all an insurmountable problem.
Part 4 of your plan, you said to make sure that DHS has the appropriate testing and vaccines
The personnel.
For personnel.
Yeah.
Is there any indication that they're not getting those?
No,
On
but
one hand,
But if they have to increase personnel because the border is getting fuller and all of that, I just want to make sure it's there, and I want to assure part of this plan is to make sure both the users of the crossings and the people who work at the crossings know that they're going to be safe. Okay? All right. You want to go to another topic?
Curious to get your thoughts on Facebook upholding their ban of former president.
Yeah, I haven't. I know they just did it. I'd have to look at it before commenting.
Do you have concerns, though, about just the long-term potential?
I'm not going to comment till I see what Facebook did.
Senator, the Senator Nation has called on the Secretary of the Interior to review the arbitration award that says they have to pay New York State $450 million in casino revenue. Do you think it's appropriate for the Senators to try to get the...
I know they filed something a few weeks ago. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to comment on that. I need to know the details.
Senator, another New Yorker potentially getting. I know you touched on this earlier, but any further comment on Canada's proposed tax on U.S. property owners?
Yeah, I think it's wrong, and from what I'm told, what they wanted to do is prevent speculation of people who never intend to occupy the homes. They buy them, they flip them, and all of that. But somehow this is landing on people who have homes here, who use the homes, but couldn't use them last year because of COVID. So I hope that they'll straighten this out. It seems just common sense that they should, and I would urge them to do it, and do it quickly. Man, you know, once the border gets open, people are going to start using the homes again. Yes, sir.
Elise Stefanik looking at potentially being the number 3 for the House minority. Is that a good thing for New York? Do you think they have?
I'm not going to mix in on the Republican politics over there. But if you like, I'll give you the red mask. Teasing, just teasing. Last one, go ahead.
New York opening up a lot more. How important is that to this local economy?
Great.
Especially the Blue Jays. Is that a home run for Buffalo?
It's great, yes. I think, I think it's great that the Blue Jays are coming here. I think opening up safely is important, but opening up is important. And now that we have such a high percentage of people getting vaccinated, and I'd urge everyone to get the vaccine. There were people who were hesitant at the beginning because they said, I don't know if it'll work. Well, now more than half New Yorkers have gotten the vaccine, and we've seen no trouble. My parents are 97 and 92, praise God. And they got the vaccine, and they're fine. So now we should be opening up safely, without rushing it, and with assurances it's safe. But yes, we should open up.
Just back on that topic, Congressman Higgins has been beating the drum for a couple of months now to get the border reopened. Do you think your position and that additional clout might be able to?
I hope so. I hope so, and I'm glad. I like what Brian Higgins has done. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a nice day and a nice weekend, and welcome, Blue Jays.
Hey, Senator, on the list of exceptions, people traveling from the airports, if that could be added
Yes,
with proof of,
that's a good idea.
with
Thank you.
proof of,
Yes.
that they have a
Yeah,
test.
that's Dottie brings up another place that right away we would want to let them travel is the airport traveler to get our airport going. That's another place. That is, as long as you can prove it quickly, you should be able to go back and forth.
Thanks,
Okay.
It's crazy.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. Let me know whatever I can do for Niagara Falls.
You know
Thanks,
we
Mr. Senator.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Bye,
Senator.
Dottie.
Appreciate you being here.
Bye, everybody.
Mayor, good seeing you. Yeah.
Thanks for joining yesterday.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't know whose phone
That's mine. Yep. Thank you, Mayor.
I don't want to walk away with it.